Eternity was an awful movie for its disaster of a story. I'm breaking down why it was so depressing and why you shouldn't watch it before you pass that popcorn. If you haven't seen Eternity, I suggest you do, if you want to, before you watch this review because it will have spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled, skip the story and the reasons for the rating.
You have been warned.
Now, let's get this party started.
I mean, really, let's do this, mother!
First up is the acting and details, which I give both an 8 out of 10. The main trio carries this movie, with Teller especially selling the old man and a young body vibe better than expected. Both he and Olsen make their characters believable despite the age gap.
Some sort of Freaky Friday situation?
And every emotional beat lands well. The world building also deserves credit. The bleak waiting room hotel hosting an Eternity convention is clever, and it perfectly mimics those sales-driven conventions that feel both aimless and unsettling.
The attention to detail is excellent.
Now we're getting into the story and script, which I give a 2 out of 10. The only reason why it gets a 2 out of 10 and not a 1 is because the script itself is pretty solid. The real problem is the story's philosophy is suffocatingly dark, despite being billed as a rom-com. A woman reunited with her long-lost husband and her recent one gets forced to choose who she's gonna spend the rest of her afterlife with. Worse, we spend almost 2 hours watching her agonize over this decision.
Will you please just pick a side?
Why wouldn't you choose the man who you spent 65 years of your life with? Claiming that she thought about the first husband every single day of her life and that she was the happiest when she was with him makes it feel like she's disloyal and doesn't care about the life she built with family. I can kind of accept the notion of what could have been might give somebody pause, but being forced to choose an eternity with no do-overs is a bleak setup.
Well, this sucks.
But aside from that, the obvious choice for the wife should have been the second husband, the man who stayed with her through everything. The idea that she'd throw all that away for somebody that she barely knows is absurd.
You make me sick.
And the first husband doesn't fare much better. Yes, he died way too soon and waited to see her again in this hellish waiting room, but he didn't actually wait. He had multiple flings, including 2 men apparently, which is incredibly weird considering he's supposed to be straight and people don't just experiment for nothing. So he didn't actually wait at all, and he's not a good option.
Are you sure you're not gay?
The second husband is the only genuinely good person in this movie, but he comes off as desperate because he's trying to hold on to a woman that clearly settled for him. And the fact that she chooses the first husband, regrets it, and goes back to the second husband to settle for him again is insulting. Why would he even want her at that point?
You betrayed me.
Then there's the world building, right? Why are there so many eternities? Who created them? If there's no God, like this story insists, then who designed the system? Anyone who would invent a structure this hellish has to be evil anyway.
Why are you so evil?
Speaking of evil, how can the movie justify discontinuing antiquated eternities from like a different time, but keep around eternities of Satanism, infantilization, smoking, drugs, and nudity? Everything is so backwards, evil, and nihilistic. You walk in expecting a fun rom-com and leave feeling hollow and depressed. That's why I rate this movie so low. The acting and details barely save the movie, and I really suggest just skipping it.
I don't want to see that or think of it again.
Now let's talk about the reasons for the rating. This movie is billed as a PG-13 romantic comedy, but it misses that mark because of the bleak story. And here are some other reasons why I wouldn't let anyone under 16 watch this for their mental state.
Sex, baby.
There's an entire nudist eternity, plus constant talk about sexuality and experimentation.
Was that necessary?
In the archive tunnel, the woman and her first husband watch a memory of themselves having sex. You don't see it, but you definitely hear it. And then later, they actually do it in real life. But thankfully, you only see the man's back.
Drugs and alcohol.
There's a smoker eternity and a drug eternity. The movie also shows a lot of alcohol, with 4 characters getting incredibly intoxicated to the point of having hangovers.
The gross stuff.
The woman feels like she's gonna get sick and gags early on, and also the nudity eternity.
Language.
1 F word, 14 uses of blasphemy, 11 S words, 1 A word, 2 D words, 6 others, and 1 finger flip.
Time for violence.
Everyone in this movie is dead, but the way that the characters talk about death is so flippant and nihilistic that it's just not suitable for younger audiences. You also see the second husband choke to death, and the 2 husbands getting into these pathetic, childlike cat fights.
I have questions.
Why does the second husband appear in the first husband's archive memories when he wasn't even around at that point? Also, why are eternities being sold when nobody pays or gets paid? And why does everyone only get 7 days to choose an eternity that they barely understand?
I think this whole thing sucks.
Overall, I give this movie a 2 out of 10, and that's only because of the acting and the details. Like I said before, this movie is not a rom-com. It's a bleak, nihilistic, and depressing take on life life and the afterlife. And you definitely shouldn't buy what it's selling. I mean, if this is what somebody has to look forward to after they die, then you should be afraid of dying. Good thing it's fake.
Boy, you had me worried there for a second.
If you don't want to walk away feeling like you've been hit with an unrelenting brick of sadness, skip this one and watch something nicer. You know, a lot of rom-coms dabble in the lying, cheating, and why are you doing this sense of things, but there are a good few that stay fun. For example, I like 17 Again with the Maori twins. Check it out.
Wrap that up and give it to a child on Christmas, because we're done.
Hey, don't go yet, there's still more to see. Click right here to check out my most recent Pop Talk. It's all about Netflix's evil takeover of Warner Brothers and what that means for the movie-loving public. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this review. And just remember, once you pass the popcorn to me, it's okay to talk, it's okay to text, and I'll see you later. Bye!